When we started Nepal, at the time, my wife and I were the only shluchim here in the Orient, and people called me up. This is well before the email days, before the internet days, and so on and so forth. Either I got a fax or I got a call that there's a bunch of Israelis that want a seder. They're in Nepal. This year that there was an otzer, there was a curfew because there was an attempted coup to the government. So the Israeli embassy, the ambassador called me up and told me that you should expect to not be able to do the seder this year in the Israeli embassy compound because there's an otzer and so on, and it's against the rule to have a seder. So we waited, we got closer to Pesach and so on and so forth, and I was speaking with Rav Chadikov, and I told him that there's no place for a seder, and he says we have to look for another place. He called me up one morning very early by me, and he said, Bishanuf, Hashem gesagt Moidani. I said, I'll say Moidani right now. So he tells me that the Rebbe at the Bet Nibergeben, Rebbe Bekeshlem saw that bis Pesach, until Pesach, the Otzer will be over. Anyway, I'm dialing. Finally, I get through to the ambassador, and I say, Mr. Ambassador, Kvod HaShagrir, I have amazing news for you. And he answers me, Kachabadi, shoot. Ken, how can I help you? I said, this is Mordechai Avson, this is the Shliach from Hong Kong. I said, I have a message to you from the Rebbe. The Rebbe asked to communicate to you that until Pesach, the Otzer will be over. He says, Tishma, Kvod Harav. Ani et Harabi מאוד מכבד. I have a lot of respect for the Rebbe. But please tell the Rebbe that he lives in Brooklyn and I live in Nepal. And living in Nepal, can I say that there's an otzer here and there's no way it will be over by Pesach. It's not shaykh. As a person living in Nepal, I'm telling you that that's impossible. Sure enough, that otzer was over on Erev Pesach. And as you will remember, the seder took place in the compound of the embassy. But for me, this was a tremendous, mufsim of the Rebbe, galore. There are people that have stories, all Yemin small. But for me, as a young shliach then, this was such a kiruv hadas, such a tremendous feeling of closeness, of ichpatiyut, of the Rebbe Pashat holding us by the hand and telling us, Kinderlach, sorg sich nicht. I'm here with you. You just have to walk with me. Just keep in step. Nothing to worry about. Everything's good. I do what I have to do. You do what you have to do. And it was a tremendous, tremendous feeling of closeness.
It goes back to 1974. I was matriculating, considering leaving South Africa. There were a lot of political problems in the country, not that we haven't got them now, but I had lost faith, complete faith in the country. My folks had spoken to me about possibly studying overseas, and relocating, and then possibly the family leaving as well. We hadn't decided where to go, and it was a debate around the dinner table. Unbeknown to me, my mom, who was a great and enormous fan of the Rebbe, had written to the Rebbe and had got a response. She read us the letter at dinner table. It was just after I matriculated. And she read us the letter. She had written and said that we have no faith in South Africa, that my son wants to leave home, is considering studying in the States, and where do we go from here? What do we do? It was as simple as that, the letter. And a response came literally within weeks thereafter, saying that there must be faith, and that I must go to university in South Africa, much to my horror. I must go to university in South Africa, and I must make my mark on the Jewish community of South Africa. That's with the Rebbe's words. My mom, it was unbelievable. She spoke with so much conviction that this letter was the word. There was not going to be any debate about this. I did try, engage, and my dad warned me that if mom said that's what it will be, and that's what the Rebbe endorsed, you're going to university here.
אני רוצה להגיד שהרבה שלח אותנו לאוניברסיטה, אבל הוא טיפל, הוא שמר עלינו בכל פרט ופרט. אני זוכר שפעם שאלתי את הרבה איזה תחום ללמוד, באיזה מסגרת, ואני זוכר שכתבתי לרבה 3 אפשרויות. 1, 2, 3, ועשיתי עיגול סביב המספרים. והרבה, הוא בחר את האפשריות השנית, הוא עשה כמו חץ תחת כל המילים האלו, ואחר כך הוא כתב את המספר 2 עם העיגול כמו שעשיתי למטה, ואמר אזכיר על הציון. זאת אומרת, הרב כיוון אותנו, הדריך אותנו, ואני זוכר גם כשהתחתנתי, בא הזמן להתחתן, אז הרב הוא אמר לי, תתחיל בפורים ותגמור לפני פסח. זאת אומרת, אפילו בפרטי פרטים של כולנו, הרב הוא פשוט הדריך אותנו בכל העניינים.
Years went by and I married, and I was learning in Koilel in Ner Yisrael, and I had a problem. My brother-in-law at this point wanted to come and visit. He was not a frum kid, and he was a little bit unstable mentally. So I wrote a letter to the Rebbe, and I got the answer how to deal who somebody is going to be in my house, but was not raised frum, and who is not enough stable to get adjusted to everything. So I wrote the letter, I got the answer, the indication, what I should do, where I should be lenient, and where I should be a bit stronger. And 3 months later, Rabbe Levski invited me to a Farbrengen. So at that point, I was already 20 years old, and I came to the Farbrengen, was scared to death because there's this the bench on the bench for a Yekish boy to see one bench on top of the bench, and the singing was great. And Label tells me, listen, you have to get to the Rebbe and ask for a bracha. But how do I get through? It wasn't the 4th floor, it wasn't the top floor. So I got there, opened up, and I told the Rebbe, I'm Aaron Shloime ben Sore. The Rebbe turned around a little bit. He said, Was macht euer Schwager? From one letter. Was macht euer Schwager? I cannot explain. I was raised in a Torah Derech Eretz environment, and I kept it all through my life. But the message of the Rebbe in the different occasions. But I want to point out, it is not only the Rebbe's message, which I got directly. I get too many messages for my life as a rabbi, as a mensch, from Rabbi Yeshua. I mean, it's a transmission which strengthens every step I go through in life. So I have no words to thank the Rebbe, and I'm hardworking, all-around rabbi. I'm not specialized on anything. I work with youth. I work with older people. I do everything. What we call a kolboinik, and the Rebbe is definitely the guideline, the essence of my rabbinical and menschliche work.